All right. Thank you guys for joining. This is Deontay from the House of Wood podcast with some of my friends, Jalen and Joshua. This is our podcast revolving around video gaming, and we have some topics we wanted to bring to you guys today. And that's pretty much it. Let's just go ahead and jump right into the first topic of the day. The first topic that we wanted to actually discuss was the PlayStation 5 showcase versus the Xbox Series X showcase. I know the last time we talked, we were still speculating on what the actual PlayStation 5 showcase would show. Now we've literally waited so long that now we have seen not only the PlayStation 5 one, but we've also seen the Series X showcase, or their bigger showcase than what they showed previously. So to just, I guess, start off, what was your, I guess, get the temperature of everybody? Jay, or well, Josh, what did you see from the PlayStation 5 showcase that you enjoyed, and then what did you see from the Microsoft showcase that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I had to rewatch or like catch back up on what Sony actually showed. Because I remember the big titles like Spider-Man, which looks good, Horizon 2, and a couple third-party things like Resident Evil 8. But it was a lot of in between that I didn't remember because they did show a lot of I guess smaller indie games.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them look interesting, but Sony's big titles like Spider-Man and things looked good graphically. You know that they're going to put a lot of work into the actual gameplay as well. Um, but for me, I didn't have like one big game that I like needed to play other than Demon Souls remake. But it's a game that I've already played, so it's not really pushing me to get the PS5 just yet. But I'm gonna get it. Obviously, it's just day one. I want there to be a couple of things that I need to pick up. Versus the Xbox, they didn't have as many big titles as Sony. Like their biggest title was Halo Infinite, and everything else was smaller games or indie games. And any game that what might have been big, it was just like a CG trailer, so you
Yeah.
don't get any gameplay of it.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's where Sony wins in that presentation because they had just straight games, really no, not a lot of talking
Mm-hmm.
and gameplay. All the games they showed had gameplay. I don't think there was any CG trailers other than like maybe Spider-Man and Horizon, but it had those could be gameplay as well and not just straight up like CG. Whereas the Microsoft, like Halo was their big game that they showed gameplay for, but nothing else. They had like a gameplay demo. Fable was just a 1 minute CG trailer that showed nothing about the game. Um, so Microsoft is just not. It doesn't seem like they have a lot to bring to the table, and what they are bringing, they're not presenting it well.
Yeah. Um, for the stuff you may have or may have not seen, uh, Jalen, what are some things that you would, I would guess, with the showcases, was there anything that you saw afterwards that may have felt like, okay, this is something I would be interested in, or something that I would actually want to, pay attention to? Anything that they kind of that you saw on the internet or anything like that in particular?
Uh, Shoot. In particular, not really. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
they was trying to finesse when they had showed that Spider Man. People was like, "Man, it's a whole new game, bro." I'm like, "Dang, they came out this game kind of quick because they just made the other PS4 Spider Man game." Then
Yeah.
they was like, "Nah, this is just like some DLC or whatever." So people was on the hype train, like, man, they played us.
Yeah.
But I mean, it ain't nothing like, no, it ain't nothing specific, honestly. I feel like they line up with everything. Both Xbox and PlayStation is just kind of like they ain't. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like I don't feel like they come in with like a whole lot of heat. I don't know if this like due to COVID is like a lot of like production and stuff is like slowed down. But I ain't really see like no like like no super hot fire that people just like, hey, this look, you know what I'm saying? But they do got that Horizon that's gonna come out. I thoroughly enjoyed the first Horizon. Usually I don't play games like that. Well, a third person like shooter similar to like The Last of Us or like Uncharted and stuff like that. But I felt like Horizon had a pretty good spin on it. So if I was to invest in a PS5, that'd definitely be a game that I end up copping. They need to bring that Final Fantasy Part 2 on that mug. They might as well put that mug on there, man. I'm like,
Square Enix, man.
I put that Final Fantasy on there, man. I go ahead and cop that sophisticated that router that they sell in that white router. So, but to answer your question, I mean it wasn't nothing specific. I will say they just need to quit playing and just go ahead and give us that price point, man, because I feel like they making me more skeptic. Like they talking about this mug coming out at the end of 2020. We still ain't got this price point. So I mean, that's kind of dead. I mean, the thing coming out in less than 5 months at this point.
Yeah.
So we still don't got a price point. I'm like, I'm in school. I need to know how much money. Like I can put a couple of hours aside a month or whatever, but I can't even do that. So
yeah, that's a pretty troubling for both showcases, and not to mention anything. It seems as if Xbox doesn't want what happened last time to happen again, and PlayStation knows that theirs is probably going to be more expensive, but I'm assuming, because there's a rumor going around on August 6th that they're going to go ahead and release more content about what they're going to be able to offer. And then that's when they're going to say, okay, we showed you this. We're going to show you more stuff that you're going to be invested in. And then now we're going to tell you why you should pay this price to play it. So I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to hold those cards real close to their chests, but I think they're going to do that by August. It makes no sense for them not to start the pre-order so that they can showcase what they have or what's going to be accomplished in their fourth quarter. It makes sense now to do it. So I'm assuming that they're going to do it really soon, if not in the next 2 weeks. That's just a guess, but that's what I think. For me, and I'm probably going to be the long-winded one, but for me, the PlayStation 5 showcased essentially why you would want to purchase a PlayStation 5. It showcased the reasonings behind that, and it showcased the actual graphical next-gen updates that you would want to see. It wasn't even games that necessarily were showcasing the strengths. It was just showcasing how they're fine-tuning everything, how stuff looks like it's going to be relatively speedy, kind of like the Ratchet and Clank demo, where it just showed how as you move through these worlds, it's going to be easier load times. It's going to be instantaneous. They showed how they were going to be using the haptic feedback with Little Big Planet, and they showed how they're going to be using the haptic feedback with Astro's Room, or I believe it's World, one of those two. They showcased the graphical fidelity of Spider-Man, and they showcased the graphical fidelity of Horizon. That project, I don't even know what it's called, but it was like Project something. It showcased, basically what we were expecting from a next-gen console. We wanted it to be, even if it's not, 60 frames per second, it still showcases what these next-gen consoles can per se do. I think when that happened, what Microsoft should have responded with, and I think that they dropped the ball on it, unfortunately, is they should have responded with the same type of experience. Why is it important or how can we make our consumers or people that's going to buy our product feel special? PlayStation was able to do that because they made them feel special because they have the exclusivities, they have the fidelity, they have the features that people want to see when it comes to why I'm going to buy a new console. Versus Xbox, they kind of just showcased how we're so much more consumer friendly than PlayStation. Granted, that is, in my opinion, the better of two evils, but people don't care. I think people more so would rather spend more money and showcase why my product is special than actually getting a value out of it. They would rather continue the same model as previously shown, where you pay $60, you play that game, you stop playing that game, and then you return it for $45, which is probably going to end up costing you about $15. In the long run, you buying Game Pass Ultimate and you getting Project X Cloud and you playing all their exclusives that come out. It's probably a better value in that than what PlayStation is giving you, but they don't care because they feel special because they was able to play something that most other people couldn't unless they bought into that same format. So it's like you don't know what's good for you type of deal. Like your mama trying to feed you, vegetables. You feel like you got a bucket because it's not something that you've deemed worthy, but in the long run, it's going to be something that's actually going to be beneficial to you. Kind of like Netflix and versus cable. If nobody wants to purchase cable anymore. Everybody just wants subscription based stuff. Everybody wants to stream their stuff. So I know in the long run that Microsoft is probably going to have the heads up. I just don't know if that's the company that's going to make people understand it, because when people think about Microsoft, they don't think about that type of stuff. They tend to think about how they lack in, they lack in like their ability to put out good games. They lack in that exclusivity format. They lack in all of that. They don't have the ability to make great games. And I think that kind of stems from their history of being a software-based computer company versus like Sony being a movie-based company and having so much stuff to deal with cameras and all this extra technology. I think Sony just, harnesses that stuff when it comes to their studios, and it kind of shows in their games, even if they're not like the most, complex games. Ghost of Tsushima is not a complex game, but it's beautiful to look at. So that's why people are going to be attached to it, and they kind of nail what they're looking for in their themes. I think they just have better studios at this point. But I don't think that Microsoft can't catch up. So the thing about it is this. Xbox and PlayStation 5 both are currently no longer competing with each other. PlayStation 5 has a totally different model than what Xbox is going for, but at the same time, Xbox is still trying to cater to the previous history of Xbox, the previous history of that platform and how games are delivered to consumers. They're still trying to cater to that, but also trying to move the genre forward or move the actual industry forward. Versus PlayStation, they kind of want to stay the same, and at some point, it's going to start looking bad. I don't know if that's going to be after people buy their PlayStation 5 or before. You're going to start seeing the difference in value. I don't know if they're going to care, but they will see that once they realize that they can't play all their games that they had on their PlayStation 4, where they don't only see Spider-Man and Miles Morales as a day one drop for the games, where they see that, there is so much additional things that you kind of get with your Xbox that you can play on 4 different generations and on one console, that you no longer have to think about not being able to use your peripherals, and you still can use your old Xbox controllers. It's not going to be the same on the PlayStation 5. So once people actually grasp that that is something that's changing, and that's something that's going to be different, and it's going to be a different perspective of how people look at those two consoles, that's when I feel like they're going to showcase what the Microsoft can actually do. And I just think they just did a poor job of showing that in their consoles or in their showcase. I think they did a great job. It was in showing their variety, showing what they have to offer, what they've been working on. That's great. I just think that they did not sell people that's not in their ecosystem on their said ecosystem, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I thought it really was their whole message. But I thought that what they try to get across, that all of this is available on Game Pass, because they say everything that you don't see today is available on Game Pass. And so what that means is all these games, as long as you have an Xbox and you have Game Pass, you can play them whenever you want. They'll be usually launching same day as they do in a regular store, and you can just pick them up for $15 instead of going to the store to spend $60. So if you don't think you're going to be interested in Halo 6, you at least have the ability to jump in and play it. And them saying that it's also going to be available on the Xbox One means that you don't even have to go out to get the new Xbox to play the new Halo. You can, as long as you got Game Pass, you can play these new games, which is good for people who already have Xboxes or things like that. And I think long term, like you said, they showed a lot of new studios that they have. And they all have different projects. They're all working on multiple projects, so they might have a lot of new IPs and things like that in the future. But as of right now, all they can sell is this bundle or this ecosystem that once you come over here to Microsoft, this is what you get, which I think is a much better value money wise. Like I'm at the point where I'd rather spend that 15 on Game Pass and play those games than go out and spend 60 on a PS4 game. If it might come out on Game Pass in like a month or two, I can just wait.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas Sony, like says, just the traditional $60 game, $600 console, $70 controller deal that you're used to. And in order to play these games, you pre-order, pick it up, and that's how you're going to be able to play these games. And I think people will be comfortable with that as long as Sony keeps delivering worthwhile content like Ghost of Tsushima. Like if they didn't have those games, or they come out once every 3 years or something like that, then it wouldn't seem as worth it. But for right now, it seems like they've been doing a good job. However, like Jalen said, they're still looking pretty light when it comes to the PS5 and those like big first party hits.
Yeah,
Like,
their launch experience is definitely looking lighter than what it normally does.
Yeah.
And definitely lighter than Microsoft's, which is weird because Microsoft they showcase a lot, but it doesn't feel like they had a lot, but they actually do. But it's kind of like, it's kind of the the mediocre effect. It's like so much stuff of it is mediocre that nobody cares. But I think I think they do have the more diverse and more stronger lineup, but nobody cares about most of the games that they're coming out with. So that's what's causing this rift in like competitiveness, which I don't think at this point Microsoft needs to compete. I think Sony has beaten them to the point where they don't want to compete in that same realm anymore. I think they want to compete in a totally different way, which is smart, I think. And again, it's super consumer friendly, which makes me feel like more willing to give them a chance to move forward, because I'm always going to still have my third parties to hold me over, and I'm not going to ever not have a PlayStation. I don't care if they still do the same thing over and over. I'm probably going to still buy one. So I'm just more so for the people that's on the fence or can't afford to buy two, and they would rather just pick one ecosystem. I would honestly still pick Microsoft, just off the fact of the value. If you are moving over from a PlayStation 4 to a PlayStation 5, you're going to lose a lot more than you gain. Whereas over on Xbox, if you were already in that ecosystem, they already can tell you why you should continue forward on that. The whole thing was to actually get Microsoft to pull people from the PlayStation, and that's, at this point, it don't seem like it's going to happen. I think they have to showcase what the true value of not having generations anymore is. And until they actually do that in a meaningful way, which honestly they have on paper, it's just like they haven't showcased it, and people still don't give them enough credit for what they're actually doing. But I don't know. Maybe this once that time frame passes where they showcase that you still have plenty of things to play, and they start dropping at least some exclusives that people really want to play. I know that Avoid from Obsidian will bring people over, and I know Fable more than likely will bring people over. It's depending on how pretty it looks. They don't care about the RPG elements of it. They'll rather have more than likely a Last of Us than anything. But people like simplistic gameplay, and they like it to look pretty. So, simplistic gameplay is God of War. That is Last of Us. That is Uncharted. Out to a degree. I don't think God of War is, but it's to a degree where it's simplistic, but it's also very intriguing, or at least interactive in a way. I don't think these games have too much complexity. If it had more complexity, it probably wouldn't sell as well. That's when you get into the Neos and the Personas. They're not games. They're not console sellers, but they're definitely good games to have in your roster. So I think that's what they're looking. That's what they need. They need those competing games like Uncharted. They need those competing games like Ghost of Tsushima. They need those competing games like Last of Us, where it's just strictly story driven, pretty and simple. Not saying that these are bad games. I don't want people to get that misconstrued. I just think I know what Sony is good at, and they kind of fall into that realm of making people feel like they make the same game, but the game is what people enjoy and what sells their console. So if they're not, in order for them to stop making those games, the people have to stop liking them, and that's not going to happen. People like simplicity. People like to just step away from the real world for a little bit, feel like they actually have a little challenge and have a great story. So adding more complexity to that makes it the entry level a little bit higher. Obsidian is obviously a high level of entry. People love Skyrim, but it wasn't as if it was to the commoner. It wasn't a common type of thing where people were just so adamant about it. That's why they kept reselling it, because they wanted their fan
that
base.
Game probably like 30 times.
They wanted the people to keep buying that game because it was their fan base that was loving it. And they had so many different techniques on how to resell something of the same thing. But that's what they need. Halo ain't it. Obviously, I think that the showing of Halo, which I also want to talk about, is just Halo in general, and that showing, and how misconstrued it, and the message behind that was so bad that people have to now create a narrative in their own minds on why it looked bad versus why it I understand the push to get 60 frames per second and to be 4K. But if that push comes to the point where you got all that additional pop in and additional and the textures look so last gen, and at some points it looks worse than Halo 3, I don't know if you did yourself a disservice by doing that. I know it's 4K, I know it's 60 frames per second, but to showcase that type of game that's being really, really scrutinized as the game that you're going to compete against other, like Last of Us and Uncharted, I think they kind of missed the mark on that one, and it was disappointing to see. But after you go back,
what?
the
Halo, it looked at garbage. I didn't check the video.
It looked pretty bad, but if you watch the 4K 60 frame per second one, it looks better. I wouldn't say it doesn't look like it's terrible, but it's not something that you go into next gen thinking that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, like you've seen Horizon, you've seen like Ghost of Tsushima and stuff like that on the PS4, where it looks like amazing. Like, how is this running on the PS4 and it's not like got terrible frame rate and stuff like that? Those games look amazing and they still play well. Whereas Halo 6, it ran at 60 and like you said, it was 4K, but it doesn't look anywhere close as them. It looks like just a simple, open world shooter.
Final
like
Fantasy
a Far
15.
Cry. Yeah, I would say more like a Far Cry or something where it's realistic, but it's not very I don't know, interesting looking. But the mainly it's because it's in an open world setting. It's more noticeable because you look out in the distance and the mountains don't look like amazing or something like that, or the trees don't look amazing, and the lighting overall is pretty flat. Um,
JPEGs. No, I'm
Halo,
just playing.
no, I mean, because I played Halo 5 with Deontay, and Halo 5 on a technical level looks better than Halo 6. And they're saying like it's early build and stuff like that, but no matter what it is, that's not what should have been shown.
Yeah, that's not what you showcase for a game. And you claim you have the most powerful console, and then you come out with that. Yes, you have the most powerful console, but at what cost? You got 4K 60, no checkerboarding, native, right? But you got this entire game looking as if it's from 2013. Like Far Cry 3 on my PC looked better. So it was kind of disappointing to see that and see like the grunts and their armor and the close-ups and the screenshots that they put out didn't help their case at all.
Yeah.
But it was opening to me because I always thought, I didn't always think that, because now most of my games I play in 1440p. I built my PC around 1440p because I knew as long as I have be able to run it graphically at a better frame rate and have on the higher settings at 1440p, it'll still look good, and I didn't need to necessarily go all the way to full 4K. That has been a realization over the last year and a half. It was something that I always wanted when the PlayStation 4 Pro came out and the Xbox. I thought it was something better to be 4K, but it's not necessarily that much of a better thing. Honestly, it's just more so, and it showed when they did that, because Last of Us 2 runs at 1440p, I think 1440p if I'm not mistaken, and it looks 10 times better than anything that was showcased on that floor, and that's a last gen console game. So it was disappointing to see that, but obviously those are two different games. I can't compare those apples to, that's not apples comparison. But
Yeah.
what they did show, like, and they're smaller companies, so I can't scrutinize them too much. But like the Tell Us Why, or I think Tell Me Why game, where it was kind of showcasing like the two brothers and sisters. It seemed like it was definitely upgraded from a Life is Strange, but it wasn't like next gen where it felt so much more promising, or like the fidelity of it was so much greater. Everything just felt mediocre, and there was nothing that really kind of showcases what the true power of that system that they claim it has. It didn't showcase it at all. No, only thing that did, and it was a very small snippet, it was Forza Motorsports, and they always look good. So nobody cares. They always look good. Yeah, nobody cares, bro. So it was left to be desired. Again, I can't fault them because they are still the company that is more consumer friendly than most. And they're still going to be that company for me when it comes to, would you rather purchase this or that? I would rather purchase the Microsoft console, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna have both regardless. But it's kind of
It really comes down to their marketing team, whoever it is, because I feel like that is the issue. To reach out to developers who are making something and have them show something that looks really, really good. Just like they didn't show all of their developers. Like they said, they have more that they're going to show later. If the people that you're going to show later have something that looks more exciting, then have them show first, and you can have the Life is Strange people wait, like, or something. Like, if you only can fit 10 developers in there, get your best 10. Or if you need to put some smaller ones in, have your best 5 show something great, and the other 5, they're smaller, they're okay, but you have those strong 5 to show off to people. Because even Halo didn't show all their features that they're talking about. They're talking about 4K for the system, 60 FPS, and ray tracing. Halo doesn't have any ray tracing. So if that's the reason that we're going to the new system, because the Xbox One X can't do ray tracing, why aren't you showing any games that can do ray tracing other than Forza?
Yeah, they're saying there's going to be a patch down the line for Halo, which is like that is not next gen. I don't understand what that message is so messed up. And then not even that, like I mean, I have to talk about it, but the Xbox Series X is being held back by them trying to have that ecosystem. I want them to do that, but it's being held back. And then most of the games after that was kind of like CG trailers. They honestly just said PC, Xbox Series X. So it's already going to be where I just think their messaging is so wrong. I think that they have the better product, but don't know how to market it properly. I think that sometimes their message is so messed up and there's so many things that they try to emphasize and create, but then if some stuff falls flat and it kind of showcases that okay, this isn't what you said though, or this isn't what you kind of promised. Phil Spencer going up there and saying that he's gonna have like there's gonna be some big blowout, and then it's that, you know. I don't know if it's Phil Spencer's fault or he just don't know that what his developers and studios are really doing, and he thinks that everything looks good. I don't know what he thinks, but to say that that was going to be something that's going to put PlayStation 5 on notice, that ain't happened. I know that Game Pass may have been their focus, and that's probably why they didn't add people into their, people into that showing, because they wanted to say at the end of the day, all these games coming to Game Pass. And if they showed anything else, they had to mess up their message. But at the same point, like, come on, you got to show something that's gonna make me feel like you're proving something. Like Resident Evil, on PlayStation 5 showcase what next gen should look like, and it still was, there. And it was like, I don't understand what their team does when it comes to those things. Obviously, everybody's in a pandemic, so I have to give them grace. But Sony did the same. Sony did it, and they did okay. And it wasn't like it was a terrible showing. They actually showed stuff. Obviously, they're being a little bit more secretive with their information than Microsoft, but they were still able to do stuff that that actually wowed people versus Microsoft's. So it has to be something that's done about how they market it, and it has to be done quickly because, I mean, the console's coming out soon. I think Xbox is going to showcase they're going to have another one where they kind of go over games that create or what's going to be available with these developers that are outside of the company. But I think they were so focused on Game Pass that they had to cut stuff because Tetris Effect, like, come on, why does that have time on your stage? It just kind of feels as if they were doing that to showcase Game Pass, right? But the message should have been, this is why you want to buy into us. Game Pass is a standalone product. That could have been a, Xbox 2020 or something like that. That could have been a regular show where they talked about the Game Pass. They showed the games that they also mentioned in the showing as all going to be coming to Game Pass. They didn't have to be on the main stage where everybody's watching, because everybody left disappointed and not actually thrilled, which still should be thrilled about that. But like I said, people don't care. People rather pay more money for more to make them feel special. So that's where it kind of fell flat for me in a lot of different ways for the showcases.
Man, I'm your boys, man. You like Microsoft. I know you got your boy Phil Spencer on speed dial. Call that man up and be like, hey, bro, look.
I don't.
Man, you need to act right, man. You acting different. Nah, low key though, like I said before, I ain't never really felt like Microsoft I felt like they had potential to some degree, but honestly, like, so with the Xbox versus the PS2 had all the games. I think the biggest thing, Xbox, they had that Xbox Live with the Halo. And then with the 360 came out, they really got put on the map because, in my opinion, there's no statistical evidence and all this type of stuff. This is just the sample size of the people I talk to and get their opinion. people liked it, the cross game party chat. That was probably like that was a huge hit. That in conjunction with the fact that PS3 couldn't code for third party games. When you playing Dark Souls on there, I mean Dark Souls already an ugly game, but I mean it's like Ugly Souls times 10. You play it on the PS3 and it's like laggy Souls, bro. I mean shoot, run through Blight Town on the PS3 versus the Xbox. It's a wrap, bro. You finna think that your PS3 finna blow up trying to run that game, man. But I mean, when they had games like The Last of Us and stuff like that, I mean, they was fantastic. But it was just, I feel like the biggest thing that Xbox had going for it was the cross game party chat. If you really think about the games that the 360 really had, I mean, people cared about like Halo 3 and stuff like that when it came out. But the heavy hitters was like, there was that era, the Call of Duty, the Modern Warfare 2. People running cross game party chat, and they just trying to hop on Xbox Live. That's all they wanted to do on there. I mean, that was, in my opinion, that was the bulk of my Xbox days. Like, that's all I remember was the Xbox Live. Like, Xbox Live is where is it at? So when the PS4 got on board on that, and then the PS4 started playing third party games, the same if not better, because the Xbox was acting weird when it first came out. I think they couldn't get up to 1080p or something. It was like 900.
Yeah, they still can't. Not on the original anyway.
So I mean that, and then the price point and stuff like that. I mean, you put all those factors in there. It's just kind of like the PlayStation been successful more times than the Xbox. It's always been a place for the gamers and stuff like that. And Xbox always shifting they shift in how they sell their stuff. Like, well, we finna make y'all buy this Connect. Well, y'all don't want the Connect, but we finna just take away the Connect. Now it's the same price as the PS4. Well, now we didn't lower the price. Well, actually, it's cheaper than the PS4. Oh, we got a stronger Xbox now. So I just kind of feel like they playing catch up and stuff with everything they do, and they got complacent because of how the 360 was booming with Xbox Live or whatever. So I mean, I don't really care for getting an Xbox. I mean, like I know y'all talked about Game Pass and all that stuff, sweet or whatever. Obviously you can buy in and like get out of it and stuff like that. But I mean, it just depends on how much you're gonna play the game and how much you keep track of that catalog. Out of curiosity, with Game Pass, if you do get a game on there, and let's say you playing it, you got an active running subscription. What happens if let's just say you playing a game and it's the last month the game gonna be on there? What happens? Like,
you just basically lose access to it. Your game cloud is still saved as normal, but you lose access to that said game. You can buy it at a discount because Game Pass also gives you a discount, but you do lose access to it. So it's not that it's as if it doesn't delete from your console. It's still on there, but when you try to load it up, it's going to check for the licensing basically, and then it's going to say you don't have access to this game. So that's kind of how it treats it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's straight. I mean, like y'all said, it's a lot of people just getting into this little cloud thing, like not cloud thing, but just kind of leasing things per se. I mean, it's even in the phone market, bro. Like, you buy it, you use it, I'm done with it. I can get rid of it, or I can keep it. It's kind of like giving people options. Like y'all said, to play the game's gonna cost more on the PlayStation. I mean, I don't really like it that much, but I mean, I don't buy games that frequently and stuff. So if I buy 3-4 $70 games or something like that, and like you said, I can take them back to GameStop and things like that. I mean, that's straight for me. I don't go through the games a lot, and I like to have games where I can kind of submerge myself instead of playing like the little like indie games and all the other stuff on there. And I don't really care for Halo. They need to let Halo. They need to let that junk go to the wind, bro. Because I don't know what they working on. That Halo ain't Halo no more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have a more and you are in the camp, I would say, of trying to decide which one you want, right? Because you're not getting both. Exactly.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to decide which one would be, viable and stuff. Clearly, I want the games and stuff. I need to see where that Final Fantasy VII Part 2 hitting on. So, I mean, that's my biggest thing. Kingdom Hearts ain't a factor no more. They didn't let me down, but it's hard, though.
Square there go those Square Enix.
Man, I'm trying to sling around big swords, man. I need my materia. I need meteor. I need all that.
yeah, okay. So my question to you then is, obviously you only play for certain games. right? And you don't necessarily you're not trying to play different things. The only thing that we play together mostly is third party platformers, but sometimes third party games, but most of the time they are like either free or they have something that we more likely have a common, interest in.
Mm-hmm.
When you plan on looking at these games and buying those said games, you're more so you're being sold on the PlayStation because they have more of the actual I can't even think of them now. They have the actual games that you want to play, right? That's the reason why you're kind of pushing towards PlayStation. It's solely because the exclusive games that they have to offer, right? Not really much else.
To some, so the biggest thing what pushed me towards the PlayStation is I know that PlayStation they gonna prioritize their game. So even if they don't got a strong lineup off jump or from jump or whatever, I know they're gonna deliver some games. So you got that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Price point is another thing. If it comes out more expensive and stuff, I'm gonna really have to like figure out what I want to do or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I know like with the Xbox, like the whole lineup for the Xbox One, just over time, it just wasn't ever really that good. Looking back in hindsight, the games that I played on the 360, most of those games that I played wasn't first party games. I was playing Call of Duty, I was playing Sonic Generations, I was playing some indie games on there. I was playing Army of Two or whatever that game. You know what I'm saying? Those are all third party games and stuff. They just happen to run better on the Xbox. So going back to my point, they don't have the exclusive that I'm looking for. And then another thing is, personally, I feel like, well, I ain't gonna say I feel like this kind of a little bit debatable, but I like to play games for like stories and stuff like that and be able to like invest time like on a just progression through the game and stuff like that if I'm not playing something quick like Destiny or like Overwatch or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like Japanese games, they're in touch with that Japanese market. So not only do I have the Western market at my disposal, I got the Eastern market at my disposal too. So they gonna come out with those games and stuff like that. And they not always the best games. I mean, Namco Bandai, I mean they garbage now, bro. They every anime they turn it into Arena Fighter. They just need to stop doing it. I think RDC World said something about that too. They just need to cut all that out, bro. They be like, man, we got One Punch Man, and put them in the arena, let them fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but no, but they in touch with that Japanese market, and even if or when Final Fantasy VII come to the Xbox, like it's just the fact that you know they not gonna release a Final Fantasy on the Xbox and not put it on the PS4. You know they not finna release whatever Japanese market game, whether it's like Gundam or Final Fantasy, Dragon Ball Z, it's not gonna touch the Xbox without touching the PS4 first, or touch it at the same time. So having that at my disposal, it gives me more options. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Okay,
that's the biggest thing.
Now, from my standpoint, I guess it's and it's something I would question and for you because there's a lot of games that they invest a lot of money into that you have not played, right? And then there's a lot of games that we have played that neither of these companies invest in. It's more so we just decided these games are interesting and we wanted to play them. And the fact that Game Pass would allow us to not only because they don't just have indie games. They have games like Red Dead Redemption 2. They have GTA 5. They had games like Devil May Cry 5. They have really strong, outings for these companies. These games come to this Game Pass. We have the ability to play them, and there's no necessarily entry of level of pay for us to try something. I know that it was a stint where we would go through games and we would try to figure out what it is we wanted to play, and it was kind of like we did not want to spend money on something that we did not find interesting. So we did not give it the opportunity to actually play games. I think Game Pass would solve that problem for us if we was to go into the PlayStation 5 with the same issue. I mean,
You talking about
obviously,
that era when we had Josh buying them games digitally, and we were like, "Hey, bro, we took it back already, man." He like, "Man,
yeah,
I guess I'll beat the game, man, since I ain't got nobody to play with."
yeah,
He's
we
like, "Man,
had
Josh, you my boy, but I hate it have to be you, man.
we
I
had
need that
him
50 back, bro."
on a few dummy missions. We were like, man, what's going on? He was like, I don't understand. I just had it a week ago. Like, man, I'm back at the store, bro. He's
I
like,
had to give it back to John, man. Ain't that dude name at GameStop, John?
yeah.
I had to give it back to John, G.
Josh had to buy him digitally because he was out of the country at the time, and he couldn't play with us unless he bought the U.S. version. So he had to buy it digitally. So
Man.
that's why that's why he was getting stuck
Yeah.
with the bill. So that's why I'm saying it's kind of like, I mean, it still happened when he was back as well. It wasn't as if it was just then. We bought stuff after that too. That we just stopped playing. So I think it gives us more of an option to, if we wanted to continue to play games like now obviously our lives are in a different space right now, but it's kind of like gives you the ability to try things without having to necessarily invest so much into it. Have you took that into like any consideration, or are you kind of just more so because I'm more than likely going to get that, and it's like people that you're probably going to play with on that? Because I know when you kind of change from 360 to PlayStation, you left a lot of people behind like that, and it was kind of like, does that take effect, or does that go into a factor of what decision you make in regards to what's best for you for console wise, or do you kind of not think about that?
Nah, I definitely go into effect. That's why I always have my gamer tag on different people's consoles. They be like, "Oh, Frosthead back online, something. We traded X, Y, Z." I'm like, but like not playing with Richard Corey, not being able to play with Devin and stuff like that. I mean, it was kind of like, dang, I wish I could play with them. But then that's when I started playing with y'all too, though, and like, it was just different people to like play with her. I've been playing Richard and them for like 4 or 5 years and stuff, like basically throughout high school and the first half of college. But then I had met y'all and stuff like that. And I mean, it's still, I love Richard, Corey, and Devin and all them. So I mean, it ain't nothing. It's just I feel like, I mean, Richard, he still played a game. His name Corey. I keep calling him Richard, but
Giving his whole government.
nah, it's that's really a poem, Richard Corey, but I just called him that one day, so but that's Richard Corey. But anywho, playing with y'all, I felt like y'all was more open to it some degree, because with them I used to play Call of Duty and I still play with them and stuff like that. But I mean, we just have more willingness to try some games. They probably do it now and stuff, and then they wanted a death box. I mean, an Xbox, a trash box, or you know what I mean. Yeah. But they was finna pay $500. I'm like, I'm paying $400. I'm finna hop on Desk Dog and get the Nova bombing some people. You know what I'm saying? Like, as simple as that. Yeah. But I mean, if y'all go, obviously it's gonna be different. But I think the biggest thing with the dynamics is like life happens. So I used to play the game more before, and I mean, I'm in PA school now, and I can't even cut the game on. But y'all just put me on Overwatch too, so I'd be in between classes. I'd be like, man, let me try to get over this payload real quick. Let me see if I can come slaying that thing with Ash real quick. Like, she be in that mother working, bro. I'm like, man. But nah, like you said, answer your question though. I mean, if the people that I play with definitely plays a role, especially when it comes to those multiplayer games. I don't play them as much as I used to, but it still definitely plays a key role and stuff. Because I mean, I feel like gaming a social space and things like that, and it's always good to, for us to be talking about like, the whole reason we on this podcast now, like the little different things, talking politics, talking games, bouncing ideas, being a support group. I like how we was able to support each other and have like a safe space for us to vent during all the Black Lives Matter and stuff. That stuff ain't went away, just to let y'all know. But, it's still here. And we, like y'all became like my best friends because of this shared space. Like, so that it definitely plays a role.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how I feel as well. So, I mean, and that's it. I wouldn't say it's easy for me to say fix it by buying both, because that's not that's not everybody's situation. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's it's definitely something you want to take some time in consideration to, because sometimes you do last, like 2013 to 2020. It's kind of a long time to just invest in something you actually appreciate and do almost weekly. You know, it's kind of like
Hmm.
that's a lot. That's a big investment. So the fact that um and it's back to Microsoft, is the fact that they don't have that figured out, that people want to feel special when they purchase something, and they want to make people feel as if there's a reason to go to it. It's kind of important. So I think they realize that in the value portion of it, and they want you to feel as if you come here, even if you don't like these games, we got something for you. We got, that's kind of how
Yeah.
it feels. Versus my PlayStation, like, we know we got something for you, so y'all gonna pay that price anyway. So it's like that's what it comes off to me as. And I'm, like I said, regardless, gonna buy both. Anything that comes out, I'm more than likely gonna get into it. So it's not something that I'm not capable of doing. It's just more so tempering what my thoughts around it into something that's actually valuable for someone that may have to make a tougher decision than I.
Yeah, I mean, I probably, like I said, I ain't on a, I'm on the fence between both of them still. I ain't sold on either one, but
Hmm.
like you said, that's a totally valid point. Because I mean, if y'all gonna get the Xbox and stuff, I mean, just because y'all got it, I might be more inclined to get it. It would
Hmm.
just have to depend on my situation. Like, you say you get them both of them. I don't know what Josh gonna do. He might have another dog at that point, but and be tied up. But not just. but
I'm gonna get it, but I need y'all to hop on Halo with me.
Man,
Yeah.
dude, Halo is dead. Let that game die, man. Like we
The
need to make a statement for them to do better, bro. Like they
the
need to make,
story has been trash, but the multiplayer is still fun.
man. They need to know that Halo is not Halo. Like, these not custom games.
Yeah.
Like, that infection mode on Halo 3, that was my whole summer in 10th grade. But they
Yeah.
took all that away, especially on Halo 4. Man, they made like Spartan Flood little, man. That junk was trash, bro. But I digress. I ain't even
I
finna get into this tangent of how much Halo done hurt my soul, dude. I used to love Halo,
Everybody used to love Halo, bro. That's why we
man.
play Destiny. It's funny. It's like I didn't play Halo. I didn't get into it, but I know I got a infatuation with Destiny for some strange reason. So obviously they make great games. Um, it's just that I don't know. It's I was watching something and they were like they need to get 343 away from Halo because
Something,
they
man.
ucking that mug up, man.
Man,
And I
chop
was just
chop.
laughing about it. I was like, I I think they so scared to try something different that they don't that they keep going back to the same, you know. This is something that they were trying to do. They're trying to get the old feel of Halo One back, and I'm like, but the game needs to be reinvented. I mean, you can keep that in the gameplay of the PvP, but the game needs to be reinvented. And obviously, open world is different, but how different can you make open world? That's the point. It's like
And
open
that's a
world
challenge itself.
isn't isn't different enough to make me feel like Halo is going to be significantly changed. I just feels like it's going to be now those same missions and interactions in an open space. So
Yeah,
that's the
it's
problem. And hopefully they solve to it, and they have. I have never seen it where Halo had great narrators and great like Witcher 3 dialogue. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that. It was always just something where you felt like you were doing cool stuff, and at least that's what y'all told me. Is like you're doing cool stuff. You're on a mission. So I don't see how developed and intriguing something like that would be to play in open world. Ghost of Tsushima isn't. Um, no matter how much I love that game, it's still an open world game. So at some point while I was playing, I got tired of doing the side stuff because I felt like it wasn't as important and it wasn't as meaningful. So even if the way they experience in it and how you kind of how you interact with the world and how the world interacts with you in a cool way, it doesn't take it from the fact that it's still an open world game, and open world games tend to have fluff. So I don't
Yeah,
understand how, and I love that realm. I love just playing as a samurai, just running around doing stupid shit. Like I would never play with the I told you guys I never wanted to play as a ninja or do any of the ghost stuff because I felt as if that wasn't the samurai way, because I was just going around the world and doing what I wanted to do, so
yeah.
I love that game, and yet I still got bored with open worldness. It gets boring after a while. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's still the verdict is still out. There may be some epic moments where you fighting big mech, like you get some Metal Gear Solid stuff going on. I don't know. I don't think they could do much with it, honestly. And they too scared. They just threw a grappling hook on you. It was like, we changed the game, y'all. I don't know if that changes the game, but
With the demo, they didn't show enough of the new stuff other than like they show weapons, but the weapons is not what's gonna make people interested. I've
yeah.
seen stuff after that sounds more interesting,
Mhm.
but really the only thing they can do is make it not the generic first person open world game. Like I don't want to do side quests in Halo. I don't want to go talk to NPCs or anything like that. It's really just about the game itself. Obviously everybody wants to make Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild, they just let you do whatever. Like you go
Yeah.
here, you find this weapon, you go here, you find this dungeon, you go here, you do this. Because it's open, there's no rules to it. Whereas if they could have that type of experience in open world, that'd be great. But with Halo, there's not really much you can do other than more enemies to fight, kind of, and maybe there's like more story missions.
Like I don't know if Halo is on the ring. Is there like NPCs that's just humans there, or
Well, there shouldn't be any humans other than the military.
that's
But
what I'm saying. It's like, how do you make that interesting? I don't get it.
I don't know what they trying to work on. Like literally the hardest genre, or let me see, the genre that I found the least amount of consistent joy is like open world games. I just felt like they too hard to do. Like you said, they got a lot of fluff. It's a lot of. I remember people was like, "I'm not playing Red Dead because I don't feel like riding horses all day." Um, I don't feel like talking to this NPC. I'm just trying to get to the story mission, especially when games like throttle your progress and make you do like X amount of like quests or whatever.
Assassin's Creed.
To yeah, they're like, so are you like, I'm just trying to see what's the next cutscene. I ain't gonna hold you up. Final Fantasy did a little bit of it with their cutscenes, with their little side quests. It wasn't as bad, but some of them was a little like, they have like you can kind of understand the character a little bit and like, okay, well, they want me to go do this because of this has happened and it ties to the story, loosely. But some of them be like, hey, can you go kill 5 rats for me? Like, why 5? Like, what? But
Yeah.
so I mean, all that fluff and stuff, I don't know what Halo is going to do. I'm not saying they having like a true open world. I feel like the only game that I can't even speak on GTA because I never actually beat a GTA story or whatever. But like you said, just that fluff though, man. That fluff, that's what makes the open world game like the hardest thing to perfect without having that when they don't need that linear. But I will say Zelda did a pretty good job because with Zelda, it was open world, but it was better because you can interact with the environment. There was, I mean, they had limitations obviously and stuff, but there was little limitations like you can ride a horse and like, what I'm saying, just go in the water, or you can swim, you got
real
lightning
life
coming
things.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put up
Like
your metal sword.
cooking. You can your fire. If you interact with something else, it's gonna burn. It was like so much stuff that they made sure that you felt like you were impacting the world anyway. Anytime you were doing something, whatever you were doing, you're impacting the world. So I sat there and watched my wife just sit there and literally try to find all the cooking recipes and try to figure out how to make the foods because everything interacted with one another. And then she would try to figure out how to, and then when she figured out that if you burn grass, and it makes a gust of wind. So it was kind of like her exploring and just finding stuff that was like they don't tell you about it. It's just there.
It's just
So
there.
that's what makes that game so special.
You got the random
Versus,
enemies that get out at the
yeah,
random time of the day, and you got the you like I was watching Simone play the game, and she literally told me like, oh, I didn't know you had to do that in order to beat this dungeon. I had beat it because I did this. Like, just the fact that you can do
hmm
different things. There's more than one way to skin a cat in that game, and that's what make it feels open. That idea that you can do whatever, you can have an open mind, think outside the box,
hmm
which make you feel like it's an open world. And it was a lot of times I'm just walking around, and some them little wizard folk, whatever them things called, they'd come out, I fight them or whatever. I might come across one I ain't never seen before and stuff like that. You are, oh, okay, I never seen him. I wonder, why he came up. Is he tied to something? Or you find this little, I mean, it's just little things. Like, you can just be walking around, it's nighttime, and then you be like, oh, hold on, let me go catch one of these little fairies or fireflies, whatever, the ones that
hmm
bring your health back. Like, it was just
yeah,
always something like kind of like it like pique your interest.
yeah. I think that's what open world needs to kind of thrive to be. Ghost of Tsushima tries its different ways where it's like it doesn't. It's like a minimalistic type of waypoints. It doesn't try to give you stuff just randomly. It just basically it's like how you interact with the world and how you actually discover things is what's special about it. But once you discover it, it's pretty simple. You know what I mean? It's kind of
Hmm.
um it's kind of that exploration that they nailed where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go ride this way and see what happened, and then you got a bird that's gonna fly next to you, and then okay, it's gonna take me off the beat path. So it's kind of like
Uh, oh
that's
yeah.
that special moments that kind of they captured well, but once you get to the actual activity, it's just the same, you know. So
Yeah.
Would you call ODST open, like open world, Jalen?
Mm, Honestly, I don't even remember ODST like that. I remember walking around, and then you play like different like flat like flashbacks and stuff, or see what happened with like New Mombasa at like I
Yeah.
remember specifically like I was playing with Buck one time, and I think it was like daytime instead. So like,
Well, how
and
the
then you
game
play.
works is you're in the city and you can get those story missions not completely out of order, but some of them you can do before you do another one. So you can kind of do stuff in order depending on where you went in the city. So like yeah, you can go do the mission with Buck, and then go do the mission on the bridge and go to the Oni site and stuff like that. Um, and those are like flashbacks, whereas like
your mic's
real
breaking up,
time you're
Josh.
in the city. Oh my bad. Um, those were like flashbacks, where you do those missions with the other people, and then real
Okay.
time you're in the city. And because you had the freedom to do the missions kind of in any order, it kind of felt more open, but it was still pretty linear because of like the city and its size and the streets you can go down. But I was just because I was reading stuff about Halo Infinite and what they wanted to do. Like I put a GIF in the Discord chat. If y'all see it, it's like you can grab onto like a ship and then just jump off and stab stuff with the sword. And it seems like they want to have a more free way to approach stuff, but not like a Assassin's Creed type way. I guess more like a Just Cause where you have so many tools you can just go in any direction and do stuff.
Yeah,
But they're not like showing that. They're showing the traditional Halo gameplay with no ADS, um, but they still got sprinting and stuff like that, so people can recognize it, so they can get back those old Halo fans. But they're not showing the new content about why did you make it open world.
right. I mean, it's
Nah, I see
all
that.
it's all because I mean that looks pretty fun actually to ride around in your ship and just be able to interact with the world immediately and just jump out. That's
Hmm.
that's interesting. That's something that I feel like actually showcases the ability to in real time interact with the world in no load times and go from one space to another. that's showcasing the power of the system. That showcases what the console can do, and it showcases that all this stuff is baked into memory and it's not actually being loaded in. You just go and that's it. But they didn't do that. What they showed was a lot of pop in, a lot of slow, a lot of gameplay, a lot of slow gameplay. Wasn't as explosive as it should be. Even the grenades didn't hit hard. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like, what is this? It looks like Halo 1. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think that they missed the mark. So, even when they were showcasing the shields and like how the overshields for the enemies and how they looked, and then like I was watching Digital Foundry's video and they were showcasing how it looked previously to that in Reach, and it just looked so much better. And I'm just like, I don't know what they were doing. I don't know if they kind of threw this together because of the pandemic, or people they were suspecting that this was like a really really early build back in like June, but then again, that's still June. It's not like it's that long ago. It was supposed to be prepped and ready for E3, but then it got scrapped, and this is what they were using to kind of showcase it. And now the game looks far superior than that, but they don't have the ability to demo something and get something live, so they use the old stuff. So this is like an early March.
Should they, with the Xbox coming out, people saying like November time is supposed to come out, and Halo's supposed to be holiday. They never said it's day one, but it's like launch time. Do you think they should just delay Halo?
No, I don't think that's gonna help them. Honestly, I think it's gonna be another Crackdown situation. Oh, we're gonna delay it, make it better, and then Crackdown came out.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't think.
I think they need.
I don't think any game.
They just gonna be avoiding the inevitable disappointment. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Kind of. I think that if they could, one of those technical issues like they can fix with time. Like obviously pop in, is easy to fix, but they got bigger issues like with the lighting and stuff, and their overall how the it's just presented in the game. They can't like change the whole game, but there's other stuff they can polish. I feel like the game should not come out without that ray tracing patch available. It should not come out with the not having the option to choose between if you want the, I guess not native 4K options, just so you can have better draw distance or whatever, so that if your game is not gonna be the graphical powerhouse like it looks like a Ghost of Tsushima, you at least gotta have all the features there where people can get the experience that they want. They want the 4K, or they want the ray tracing and things like that. So the game should not be coming out in like a missing state, and especially like the multiplayer, because they haven't come out with it. And there was a rumor going around, but they said that it's not true, that the multiplayer is in fact going to launch day one. But this game should not be missing anything, and I think that Microsoft can put it off just a couple months to make it the best that it can be. Because the issue with the older Halo games like 4 and 5 is they came out and they were okay, but they're missing content, and the game already is kind of mediocre to some people, and it's missing content, and that just makes the whole franchise overall look bad. So don't repeat those same mistakes where launching a game that's not ready. Like,
I mean,
they shouldn't be scrambling to put together an E3 demo 2 months after it's supposed to be available,
Yeah, I mean, first off, they garbage. I'm gonna just leave it at that still, right? That still stand. But I'm gonna be honest, like with gaming like nowadays and stuff like that, I ain't been having a whole lot of faith when they put games off. So like first off, when they show they say like this the alpha, or this the little, what they say, what's the words they use when they just trying to demo. I'm gonna just say
in progress build.
Yeah, because this is an early build. That's what I'm thinking of. Early build. That's the alpha. I don't really feel like that means a whole lot at this point, because I think most games that I've seen that was like an alpha or whatever, they they're the same game. They might have changed, very, very minor things. The game is built like 90% up. They might change certain things or whatever. And I mean, this is from my sample size. This is by no means like definitive and all this type of stuff. Cause I mean, y'all know better than I do, but most times when I see a game, when they talk about the alpha, the beta, the early build, all this type of stuff, the game's the same. When they delay it, the game is the same. To my knowledge, they didn't. It's not any visible changes. Whether it's a glitch or something that they fix, let's just say they might release the game a little bit later. Maybe they fix like a couple game breaking bugs or something like that within a code, but it's not anything that's gonna like change the game like overall. I think the game I seen probably undergo the biggest change like post release was maybe like Black Ops 1 because that game was incomplete and stuff like that. I remember some stuff. I feel like it didn't like render and stuff like some of the like grass and the little when you was in like Vietnam and Black Ops 1 and stuff like that. But I don't know. Basically, I just don't got a lot of faith. I remember they talking about the Bloodborne Alpha. I remember somebody had a video. They had picked up some items. It was the same items that was in the game when the game first came out. And if I go cut that mug on right now, them same items gonna be there from that Alpha build. So it's like, it don't.
I guess you gotta temper your alphas to what they are meant to be. They're meant to test the game, as in like stress, or whether it's stressing the servers or is it stressing the testing the fundamentals. Most of the stuff is already completed. It's alpha is more so like the fake beta. They don't want to just admit it as a beta. So most of that stuff, when you're looking at alphas, yes, you already know that stuff is already done. If it's not,
it was a true alpha, it wouldn't have any textures or anything.
Right.
Like, you would just be looking at wireframe.
So it's kind of like this is stuff that they already solidified in their design and their creations, and they built all the stuff. Alphas are kind of like it's like the one step before a beta. When you're in alpha, you pretty much like you're bug testing and you're stress testing and you're kind of like just trying to make sure everything fundamentally is sound. But everything that you have there is not changing. They may change like how the UI looks, how they change like the how you interact with a certain object or a button, but they're not going to change much. And that's where you want to temper your expectations for alpha, because most of the time when you got the Destiny alpha, it was the same game as Destiny. So
okay, no, that makes sense. Yeah, that's why I said I wasn't entirely sure. I will say like even with Final Fantasy episode Duskai or Dusky, whatever you call it, I feel like they changed the game a significant amount, but I still feel like they had a lot more time from the time, because when did that beta come out? It came out like or demo. It came out I think it came out the same time as Type 0, and that probably came out like
months before that, maybe like 6 months. I feel like
Type 0 came out in 2015. It was probably like February, somewhere around Bloodborne. It's around like 2015, but then 15 ended up coming out in November 2016. So they had over a year in time, a year and some change to even,
adjust how it played.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like that's a significant amount of time where they can do a lot of things. But if they just gonna push Halo back like a couple months and stuff, I don't feel like they're gonna really be able to change much, man.
I don't think that, like I said, I think that the showing what they did was bad. Halo is not going to be the stopper, the game changer per se. It's going to be the game that kind of it's fundamentally supposed to be the game that's supposed to show off awesome gameplay and what the console does to make the gameplay more fun, like bigger battles, stronger, like bigger fields. Obviously, being open world will do that, but the way they presented that open world did not showcase what is changing, what's different. Plus, they're trying to be faithful to the Xbox One, because this is another game that comes to the Xbox One as well. So they have to temper their expectations and temper what we can actually do, because it has to still run on that old console. So a lot of stuff is being held back on this game, and they should have already released something for it. They should have had us in the development of this game, so we already have seen it. So our expectations were not so high for this game to be a showcase for the console, because even if it is capable of being that showcase, they didn't do it well. When they first dropped that first initial trailer, and everybody was like in awe because of how Chief looked and the lighting and all this stuff. If they thought that was for no reason at all, they should have thought differently. Because the reason why we liked it is because it looked at next gen. For them to be able to, instantaneously transform from like pressing start and going straight into the game. People don't even realize that, man. They think that's just a cut. I mean, that's something that happened, but nobody cares about it, and nobody's going to talk about it because how the game looked. It's like everything is going to be downplayed because of what you did to the actual creation of the game. So I think they need to do a better job of showcasing why Infinite may be the showstopper that it should be. And people have to, at this point, I just don't like the fact that we have to, that they set the expectation and then they didn't deliver. I don't like that. I wish they would have just stated that it wasn't going to be this, to end all type of showcase. They should have just showed we're going to be showing off some good gameplay. We're going to have some Halo Infinite. We're going to have a few story snippets. They could have shown more of a story versus the actual gameplay outside. They could have shown more inside. Hopefully they got like some type of dungeon type deals. They could have had something inside where we have this, some big epic moment within the story without giving away much. But they didn't do that. They just showed the gameplay outside, boring, looking like you just doing something, for the sake of doing it. It didn't seem as if the objective was that interesting to do. You just ride the elevator. So it kind of made it seem like it was boring. So that's on top of that. Then you got the grass disappearing and popping in when you walk past it. So it was just a bad show. It was a bad case of the bads. But let's,
man, people gonna love that game, man. Them the people that's gonna they got strong hands. I got weak hands, so I don't care about it.
Shake the weak hands, yeah, man.
Shake the weak hands, man.
Dude, I don't know. This game is definitely. I'm definitely gonna play it. Obviously, I got Game Pass till 2022. But
dang,
yeah, man, they
you got that. That boy holding on tight.
Holding on tight, man.
Right.
Man, it was $1. Dollar make you holler. Yeah, man, it was
$1 a month.
No, you buy. It was like this thing you could do where you purchase. You re-up your subscription for 3 years, and then you upgrade to Ultimate for $1. So I bought 3 Xbox Live Golds, and then you upgrade to $1, and it converts it all to Game Pass Ultimate.
Gee, that boy got the game. That boy.
Yeah. So that mug till 2022, fam. I got all the games coming. I'm definitely gonna be able to play a few things before I have to really start paying. But yeah, I was like, I know there's gonna probably be something that they're gonna keep going with, so I just went ahead and did it. But
Impulse, man.
That was a long time ago though. that was like a year ago now. Yeah, because I did it for 3 years. So
it's like 8 months, and I just
No, I think it's 7 something 2022. So I think it's like 2 years exact. But I guess we can talk about what we got. How much time we got? We got about 10 minutes. Interesting. So we had a few other topics that we wanted to discuss, but I think we're gonna hold off on those for now. Anything that you guys in regards to the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox that you wanted to get across, something that we may have missed that y'all saw?
They need to put Overwatch and make sure Ash is on there on the PS5 so I can get back to slaying that thing. Whether it's on the PS5 or Xbox, they need to put her on there. Great character. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
10 out of 10 would recommend. Okay, that's easy peasy. What about I mean, I like Overwatch, but all it's gonna do is like the reason that I bought Overwatch again and we started playing it again because Josh said, and I think he checked his facts, so I believe him that if you have the older games, they're not gonna split the player base, and that you're gonna continue to be able to play Overwatch 2 with everybody else that plays into Overwatch 2, because really Overwatch 2 is nothing but story, and like I look like from that trailer that we was watching that it may be also kind of a League of Legends like or whatever their Blizzard hero game is where you upgrade as you continue to play.
Yeah, RPG stuff.
Yeah.
I
So
think that's only for this story, and it might have like a separate mode from the classic Overwatch stuff.
and then they got the new push mode, which seems interesting, where it actually does change dynamically from push to pull. So I was actually looking forward to something like that in Overwatch. So we have recently gotten back into Overwatch. We put it down for quite a while. Josh never did, but we did. Me and Jalen. Um, but yeah,
I'd have picked it back up if Josh told me Ash was in there, man. I'd have been back in I'd have been in the field.
Man, Ash ain't nothing but
bro. She be having people in a blender.
she kind of like McCree, really.
Man, but she got that TNT, man. You be. Then she be sweat. I'd be like, man, she working, bro.
Jalen only plays for his hero moments.
Man, I'll be in there trying to go crazy.
But I mean, some things that just to take it back to the showcase that ended up, some things that I did enjoy. Everwild, that seemed really cool. It was just a lot of stuff that obviously that they're diverse enough and everything's coming to Game Pass. Seeing how I already bought into the ecosystem, I'm happy to see that stuff. Other thing, kind of like Medium, still looked interesting to me. That is another open kind of split world horror game. Kind of reminded me of a lot of Evil Within. So stuff like that always piques my interest. Something I want to play. So there is stuff that they had that I will enjoy to play. It's just that the showstoppers, but some stuff that is definitely on my radar from that company, and it's good to see that they're at least putting up a fight, and their studios seem to be able to have a lot of freedom and creativity and control around their games. They don't have to kind of hit boxes and hit certain criterias, which may be a better workspace than people think and give respect to, because it seems like they can visualize their creation to their entirety. It doesn't seem like they have to fit a box or check a few things off, which is cool. So,
for me, there were a couple games I was interested in. The number one was the Obsidian stuff, like Avowed, because I liked Outer Worlds a lot. I feel like it is a better game than like the recent Fallout games. And Bethesda nowadays is trash anyways with how they treat their like franchises.
yeah.
So if Obsidian can make a Skyrim style game but better, I think that would be great for Xbox, because there is a big market for those style of games.
It's definitely gonna come out before them anyway. Bethesda gonna take their sweet time.
And it's gonna be copy paste Skyrim, so and then
but they got to repackage it 2 more times before that. So
well, it's almost on everything.
Yes, Series X ain't got it. PlayStation 5 ain't got it. They got it. Yeah, extra triple double version. they got to hit up their boys at Square Enix to figure out how they do it so well.
Square Enix, man.
Yeah, mostly Obsidian. I feel like that's a really good get from them. The other studios, they're a lot smaller. Like Psychonauts 2 seems interesting, but it's not my type of game.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, Senua's Sacrifice. I wish they would have shown more.
Yeah.
that's probably going to be their best looking game. But
Yeah.
I want to see what they're going to do to, if anything, to expand it, or they're really just going to rely on the story. But really, for me, it was just Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the showcase wasn't exciting,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like what they've shown is good for someone who is a Halo fan. The type of guns, the gameplay that they have is good. Because I feel like even though 343 has done a lot of things that people don't like with the Halo franchise, I feel like they've at least modernized the gameplay where it doesn't feel too old. Like if you go back to play Halo 1, a lot of people don't like that type of game where you can't aim down sights and stuff like that. So at least the gameplay I feel like will be fun. But the overall package, they just got to show that they can deliver it. Because I guess I'm still looking for a FPS to play other than Destiny. Right now, because Destiny got another couple months before they figure out what they're doing, and if Halo comes out and has decent multiplayer, I'll probably play it for a while. So we'll see.
Yeah. I think that's the next thing is figuring out what we want to jump into next, and I think if Halo Infinite is good enough, that could be something. But I mean, I'm still, obviously, Beyond Light is coming to Game Pass, boys. So y'all gotta get it. Yeah, it's gonna be free. Well, not free, but it's gonna be $15, and you get the whole thing. Don't worry about it. Get the season pass with it. So I mean, we can finish our adventure there, fellas. If y'all want to give it another chance. But
man, I don't even know what Beyond Light is.
Man, that's Destiny. What you mean?
Man, Destiny garbage, bro. I got that bash and they didn't. They didn't up the light level on me. Now I really can't compete with them. I'm like, man.
Stop disrespecting it, man. Man, you can't compete. They always gonna love that level. Don't worry. Beyond Light, they're gonna give us another. They'll give us clean slate. Clean slate, man.
Nah, they be on there clapping me, bro. I'd be like, man. When I had that bash and I was good for like a week or two, I had people in the blender, but man, they up that light level on me, and them people is not playing the game the way it's supposed to. I can't compete with them.
Talking about trials. Yeah. Well, I mean, people are dedicated, Well, I was there, but I wasn't being met at the same intensity, so obviously it wasn't gonna work out.
So they was in there cheating, bro. I mean, I was cheating a little bit too, but dang, they was cheating a whole lot, right?
I want to appreciate everybody tuning in and listening. That's gonna be the wrap for us on this one. We're gonna still, obviously, we're expecting to have content come out every 2 weeks now on a regular schedule. But yeah, stay tuned. And thanks for listening. This is the House of Wood podcast.